Welcome back to Fade to Chat. I'm Marty Gensius with co-host Cindy Rotz, and tonight we're in 1946, and we're talking about one of the most beautifully constructed thrillers the Golden Age has ever produced. The film that arrived wearing the clothes of Gothic mystery and turns out to be something considerably darker, more formally precise, and more disturbing than it first appears. The film we're talking about tonight is The Spiral Staircase, directed by Robert Siodmak, a German immigrant who spent the 40s making some of the most visually accomplished noirs and psychological thrillers in Hollywood history. The movie stars Dorothy McGuire, who delivers her entire performance without speaking a single word. The question all films ask over the course of one long storm-soaking evening in a Vermont mansion is whether a woman who cannot scream for help can survive a killer. Okay, 1946, the same year The Big Sleep came out, the Bogart-Bacall kind of film noir thriller. So interesting combination of films when you look at what happened in 46. Of course, people were coming back or had come back from the war, World War II, and I think that had an influence, and there's some connection in this film about that, at least some philosophical connection with that. The cast includes Dorothy McGuire as Heaven Capel, a mute young woman working as a companion, and she is... her muteness is as a result of a psychological shock that occurred to her earlier in life, and that gets revealed through the storyline. George Brent is Professor Albert Warren, kind of creepy dude, really intellectual and real direct. Ethel Barrymore plays Mrs. Warren. She's bedridden and the matriarch. Ken Smith, Dr. Perry, Gordon Oliver, Stephen Warren. There's a whole cast list. We will have that in. Probably Elsa Lancaster. People will recognize her as the Bride of Frankenstein, but also a lot of other serious roles that she did throughout her career. She's Mrs. Oates, the housekeeper who likes to nip a bit whenever she can nip a bit. And then a really cold portrayal of Nurse Barker, done by Sarah Allgood. Man, they were mean to her. Everybody was mean to her in that movie. So I don't know, Cindy, tell us about your impressions of the film, your choosing the film.
Well, I hesitated to choose this film because I was a little concerned about your reaction to it. But it's I hate to say it's one of my favorites. I could watch this one again and again. I just find it fascinating. I guess I like a good horror movie, but I don't like the ones of today. But I know our one listener, Brian. And he had emailed us.
Well, we have more than one listener, but one of our listeners, Brian, had emailed us and said that he appreciated the suggestion and he watched it, and he said he found it interesting, but what he most enjoyed was the lighting, and I have to agree with him. I thought, from a visual standpoint, it was stunning. It was beautiful. The lighting, the composition, the contrast between the light and the dark. It was visually a beautiful movie. Okay.
Even though the subject matter was not.
Yeah. I agree, I agree with Brian. And Brian said we watched it and enjoyed it. So I think he sat with his spouse and watched it. And Brian's kind of a fun person to have watching along, because we'll make the suggestion of what we're going to look at next week, and he'll pick up on the movie and watch it that week, and then listen to our suggestions or our discussion about it. How did I find this film? Where did you watch it on?
I watched it on Tubi.
Okay, all right, then that makes sense. I wound up doing a search for it, and the only place I could find it that I had access to was Plex. And Plex has a series of free movies with commercial interruptions throughout. And I'm not sure, and you know, I had a Plex account at one time. I still have the account, but I don't have a paid account because I haven't been using it as much as a server as I thought I would. So I went in and I watched it on Plex, and I'll tell you, there was something either about the quality of the feed, and I watched this film probably 4 or 5 times.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Well, no,
That's
I did not watch the complete film 4 or 5 times. I started it 4 or 5 times because
okay.
I just was so easily distracted from the film. And I made it through, you know, in chunks. It's sort of like, okay, let me roll back to 20 minutes and start watching it again. And then, like, I'd get distracted, or it was just, you know, some
It
of the
didn't keep your interest?
no, there's too much side stuff going on for me. There was, oh, I love you. Oh, play that music for me because I love you, and come in here. Oh, don't let them see us. It was just,
You didn't like Blanche and Stephen.
I
You didn't
didn't
like
like
that
Blanche and
side
Steve.
part.
Yeah, and some of the stuff, I mean, even with Elsa Lancaster and her liking to nip, some of that was just too drawn out.
Mm,
And so yeah, I'm sorry I'm being really harsh on this, but
that's okay.
it was I get it. I know why people like this film. It didn't do it for me. Um the piece that I think was difficult was, even from the original setup, I could easily figure out where this was going.
Okay.
I did like some of the things they did you know, and we talked about the director, like the one fantasy shot where her mouth is kind of blurred out, and I didn't quite get the woman with the hands, and I didn't know how that fit into the storyline. But then there was a cold cut to something else, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I never made the connection on that piece. So yeah, it was it was like, I know I got to watch this film. I got to get through this film, and I watched it. I watched about 3/4 of it, and it's only an hour and 20 minutes. I watched about 3/4 of it, and it's like, no, I can't stay awake, or I've got to do something else. I'll pick this up later. And I tried to pick it up later, and realized I had to go back to like 20 minutes into the film to have any memory of it, and then got about halfway through it again, and it's like, okay, I'll pick this up later. And so this I started like last Thursday trying to watch this film, and we record on Mondays.
Marty. Do you think it was because you watched it with commercials that you had that break?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Possibly they had like lots of commercials. So it wasn't like, here's 30 seconds and I'm back in. It was
Okay.
extensive bits of commercials in there. And I tried to buy it because I would have been fine just purchasing the thing and having a copy of it, good, bad, ugly. It's much better for me to have a copy of the film. And I couldn't find a way to purchase it. So I And then it's like, well, certainly it's on Amazon or certainly it's on other streaming services that I have, and it's like, nope.
Yeah.
So I that gave me pause to begin with. It's sort of like, why is this film that's so good so hidden with it? Yeah, I think Dorothy McGuire did a wonderful job in her role. I hate to tell you this. I didn't realize she was a deaf mute until maybe
Not
my third or
deaf.
what?
Not deaf, just mute.
Oh yeah, just mute. I didn't
Mute,
realize
yeah.
she was mute until like the third time I tried to watch it.
Now, Marty, that was so obvious. Oh my God, you weren't paying attention.
So you can take my review of this with a grain of salt, and I'm sure we have some listeners who are very passionate about how stupid I am, and
No,
so I'm sure this is just feeds that whole concept of how stupid Marty is. How could he miss it? Rope was the most suspenseful film I've ever met or ever
no.
seen. So yeah, I'm sure this is more fodder for their a lack of belief in me. But yeah, it was like, oh, okay. The eye thing, the peering eye.
Yes.
I know who that was immediately. All you have to do is look at every male actor and look at their
But
eyes,
it
and it's like,
but it wasn't his eyes.
all right,
It was
explain it.
I read it was the director's eyes.
Oh,
That they
okay.
actually
Well,
used it was the director's eyes that they used.
yeah, I knew it was. Mr. Warren. There's,
Okay.
and maybe I read that into that, but when I was looking at it, but it was okay. Here's the intelligent, arrogant person. He's definitely the baddie in this. Um,
Yeah, they made you think that it was Steven,
right.
but
Because he was just
it
weird.
was not. Yeah, and I didn't care for his character. I agree with you on that. His relationship with Blanche, I hated the way he spoke to her. He was, yeah, I hated that part of the movie. I will agree with that part. But I liked Elsa Lanchester as Mrs. Oates. I thought she was hysterical.
Yeah. And I could see if I was her and offered that role, considering other roles that I've done that have been more traditional, or even something as campy as The Bride of Frankenstein,
Hmm.
where she plays the author of the Frankenstein series and then appears later in the film as the Bride of Frankenstein. Even as something as campy as that, I think if I read this script, it's sort of like, yeah, this is a character actor that I can wrap my head around and have some fun with. I
Yeah.
don't have the pressure of having to do lead. I can just enjoy this
Mm.
character role. So
But back to her sipping the brandy. I think that was important because that got her out of the way. Kind of made her indisposed so that the killer could get to Helen. And when
yeah,
she went down into the cellar to get that brandy, she did the little
right.
candle trick, knocking the candle off. She told Helen about that.
And then
So
Helen
then when
used it later.
Helen later used it later in the movie. So even though that might have seemed inconsequential, it was important in the overall.
Yeah, and it was little things like that where Helen was told how to do something. It's sort of like, okay, this is going to show up in the plot later. That she's going to she's going to blow out the candle or knock out the candle. We've seen the eyes. We've seen, yeah. So I just,
Well, maybe you're better at I am than figuring these things out. I guess I don't think ahead in that way. I'm just in the moment, and I
yeah,
didn't really
okay.
think ahead to that.
All right. Well, that was an interesting compliment that you live in the moment.
Well, and I don't always
Yeah.
I don't always figure it out. It's like, oh, okay. So maybe that's my downfall that I'm not as bright in figuring it out.
Well, no, and that's not meant as a slight on your part. It's just that
No, I know.
to me, I've seen so many procedurals, and that it's interesting to see how these things get played out. I'm
Hmm.
watching. I'm watching a couple of one show in particular that I'm really enjoying. That's on BritBox. Uh, it's uh, it's called Ludwig, and David Mitchell, who's essentially a satirist in Britain, plays the lead role. And I'm enjoying that procedural because I'm finding it a little tricky to figure things out. Essentially, he
Mm.
replaces his brother at a police station because they're exact twins, and you have to
Mm.
suspend that belief that could happen. And but what he's his role as the brother is he is a kind of introverted, almost on the spectrum sort of
Mm.
person who makes puzzles. That's what he does. He constructs puzzles for like magazines, and he has a bunch of puzzle books that he put out and things like that. So he gets put
Mhm.
into a murder a week kind of show, and he winds up solving these different crimes as
Mm.
well as trying to figure out where his brother disappeared to and why, because his brother just disappears early on, well, in the first show, and that's what pulls him in. So I'm enjoying procedurals. That one for me is a little. It's a some of them are tough to figure out, and I'm surprised, and other ones are kind of. There's a much amount of disbelief in me that this scenario would ever get set up the way it was conveniently to come up with this solution. But okay, so other comments about this?
Was there anything you enjoyed about it other
I
than the
liked.
cinematography?
Well, cinematography is fine to enjoy. I mean that's what got you through Lawrence of Arabia. Um,
True.
you know,
Four
it's like
hours.
a war film for 4 hours of the
4
cinematography got you
hours.
through it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so I appreciate, and then you watched it like 10 times. I appreciate the cinematography. I like the symbolism that was riddled throughout the movie because the dream sequences or the points of dream that she has, and so I enjoyed that from a psychological standpoint.
Hmm.
That the muteness was psychogenic in origin. You kind of figure
Yeah.
that's what it's going to be.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the symbolism. It I don't like gothic in films or
You
those
didn't
turn of the
like
century
Gaslight
films.
either, did you?
Pardon?
You didn't like Gaslight
I like Gaslight better than this.
better than this. Okay.
And I even liked Life with Father better than this. Um,
Wow.
but
So
yeah,
you're
and
ranking
I'm
them now.
well, no,
You're
I'm
ranking
just
your movies.
yeah, I'm. But you don't know what's above those movies, all of those movies.
No.
But when I was watching it like the third or fourth time, I thought, is Cindy got a thing with like turn of the century Gothic houses design?
No, I
Because
might. I
yeah,
might.
yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing a pattern. Yeah.
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 So, and you've probably already seen patterns in mine,
Hmm.
um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
there's another one I won't mention that I'd like you to watch, but after this one I won't.
no, go ahead and mention it.
Well, I it's one of those it's very hard to find. And at the moment I can't think of the name of it, but at the end she says bolted door Mariah. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to look it up because
Yeah,
I can
well,
never remember the name of it.
I I will, I'm game for anything. Which
You'll
is
hate it.
unlike there are people. My wife, for example, is a person that's like she's hot or cold, and as soon as she's cold on something, it's like walk out of the theater, turn it off.
Okay.
I'll at
Oh,
least,
there.
in most cases, watch it to the end. So
It's called The Heiress.
the heiress, okay.
The Heiress. Yeah. And
What
it's
about
that
what
same
year?
time period.
But what year was it made? Do you know?
Hang on here. It was. Oh, I just lost it. Hold on.
1949.
Thank you.
Yeah. So around that same period in terms of film.
Mm-hmm. You're right. I might like that time period.
It's 100% on Rotten. The Heiress is 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Mm.
Olivia de Havilland, Montgomery
Yeah.
Clift, and she won an Academy Award for Best Actress in a Leading Role. Apparently, from what I'm seeing here, and it's William Wyler. So again, you've got some pretty good alignment with this. This film in particular was nominated for one Oscar for Best Actress in a Supporting Role, Ethel Barrymore, of the famous Barrymore family.
Yes. Yes.
It won Best Picture of the Month of March and Best Performances of the Month, Dorothy McGuire of March. So not a lot of, I don't want to say not a lot of critical acclaim on this because awards are not necessarily an indication of critical acclaim. So it's based on Ethel Lina White's 1933 novel, Some Must Watch, but departs from it substantially in the development of it.
So even the ending, Marty, didn't surprise you? I mean, I realized you knew who the killer was, but the ending itself didn't surprise you?
Come
No.
on. She's going to scream or speak out or get her voice back. That's the
Well,
whole
that
arc.
part, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what
But
would I have been? Oh,
Ethel Barrymore, that didn't surprise you?
Yeah. But you have to realize I am, at that point, I'm waiting for the movie to end. So there's less surprises for it to happen. All I'm waiting for is confirmation of what I think is going to happen. And in this case, the remarkable recovery that Dorothy McGuire had was kind of expected in the process. Not too surprised about Mr. Warren being tied up in this. His whole lecture on that was a piece I alluded to earlier. His whole lecture on we have to eliminate all of these terrible people. It has context for post-war Germany and what occurred during World War II in terms of the Holocaust and things like that. It has that kind of direct symbolism. It also has a lot of meaning for today too. I think maybe that whole concept, that whole thought premise is ageless. That 40 years from now, that will still have meaning about dealing with people or addressing people who are different And so, yeah, so the kind of neo-Nazi lecture that he gave at the end, or near the end, was I think kind of interesting too. So, looking to see if there's any other comments or notes.
I did think that considering she only spoke at the very, very end of the movie, her 9 words that she spoke, she did she did a
Yeah.
tremendous job facially. You could read her expressions, you could tell what she was feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Eh, yeah. Yeah. Will I watch this again? Probably. Someday.
Someday.
Someday, not this week. Uh,
Okay.
I've got family coming in for my son's wedding. I don't need family stuff this week.
Yeah, I understand.
But yeah, I mean, it's because we've covered it here, because you introduced me to it here. It's now part of my kind of film head history. So when I go on trips, or I will load up my iPad or put some links in to watch some films. That's a collection of funny to silly to I've watched this too many times already, but I'm going to put it on here, to, man, I haven't seen this in a while. I need to explore it again and see if I see it in a different way. So,
Well, maybe you'd rather watch Betty Davis in Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte or Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Those were my favorites from my childhood. I said that
yeah,
always scared me.
I can't watch those things without thinking of what is it? The kind of campy soap opera that was done in the 70s, that was vampires and Dark Shadows.
Oh, I love that. I would rush home from elementary school to watch that. Yeah, Dark
Yeah, I could have
Shadows.
telegraphed that you love that, but
I did.
but those
Yeah, I
kind of,
raced home from school.
yeah, I just didn't. Whenever I saw the settings in those films, it was sort of like, yeah, who lives like that? I just could not,
But
get
yet
an
you'll watch
interior
a
decorator,
musical
bring it
where
up to this.
everybody's
What?
singing all the time in a musical. People just break out in song all the time
Don't you?
in a
I
musical.
do.
No.
It's sort of like get an interior decorator, bring it up to this century, and then your story disappears. It's just a dysfunctional family. So yeah, too much like work. That's what I used to say when Aileen wanted me to go to these deep story sort of, and many of them win Academy Awards too. It's sort of like, nah, not going to see it. Too much like work. I don't need to deal with heavy human emotions when I wind up dealing with that for a job. So, yeah.
Did you ever deal with anyone who was mute?
No, and I never dealt with anybody I dealt with people who had somatoform disorders, which were situations where, and I dealt with people who were elective, more social phobia, so they just didn't talk. But I dealt with folks who had somatoform disorders, which are, fake sense of pain and things like that have no psychogenic or no physiological reason for them happening. But I never dealt with anybody that had sort of a psychogenic conversion. Was the old term for it. And I forget what it's, DID now is, I think, the new term. But, no, not DID. Anyway, conversion hysteria is what it used to be called. The person who loses the impact of being able to lift their limb like a paralysis, but there's no physical reason for it. Never dealt with those. Never dealt with those folks. Certainly know enough about it to I wind up lecturing on it and talking about it, but never dealt with a case like that. But somatoform, yeah, I dealt with folks who had those kind of issues. Nurses,
I had a
I dealt
student.
with yeah. Go ahead, Cindy. I'm sorry.
I had a student years ago back in elementary school. I think she was second grade, and she never spoke ever. And I never found out the reason for it, but I remember the teacher. It was when I didn't have my own classroom, and I'd have to go into the classroom to teach art, and then I'd have a conversation with the teacher. And I remember her saying she was I think they called it selective mute.
Yeah.
So she must have spoken at times, but I never heard her speak ever.
Yeah, you gotta wonder. I mean, at the time you were experiencing that. Nowadays, that would be kind of triggers for probably some type of abuse, like PTSD, kind of silence because of abuse. So very. The way in which we look at things changes over the decades, and so
That was
and this storyline pretty much had Helen's issues explained, and shared, I think, by, was it Mr. Warren, who kind of said, I had a dream about a woman who
No, that was Dr. Perry.
Dr. Perry. Okay.
Dr. Perry had spoken to someone who knew the family and knew the story.
Yeah.
And I thought she was going to speak then, and of course she did not.
Yeah.
He tried to get her to speak, but she still didn't.
Yeah. The cast included one Oscar winner and 4 Oscar nominees. Ethel Barrymore for winner None But the Lonely Heart in 1944, so 2 years before this film was done. Nominated again, and in this film, Dorothy McGuire, Elsa Lancaster, Sarah Allgood, God, they were mean to her. Go sit in the hall. That's what you do best. Yeah. And the comment was, is she a woman or is she a man? I can't tell.
Is she a man? Yeah, that's what Mr. Oates said. He was really harsh. Because they were talking about protecting Helen. He said, well, she's as good as any man. And he said, I think sometimes she is a man.
So along the string of nominees, besides Dorothy McGuire, Elsa Lancaster, and Sarah Allgood, was Ellen Corby, who is uncredited, but she was as a waitress. She was a waitress in the film. And she got a nomination out of this, apparently.
Waitress? I don't even remember that.
So if we look at, from 1947, we look at least Academy Awards. The other films that were out there in 47, Best Actor in a Leading Role was won by Frederick March, The Best Years of Our Lives. So this was in competition with that film. Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Harold Russell, Best Years of Our Lives. Best Actress in a Leading Role, Olivia de Havilland, To Each His Own. Brief Encounter, Duel in the Sun, Sister Kenny with Rosalind Russell. Best Actress in a Supporting Role was Anne Baxter, The Razor's Edge. Ethel Barrymore in Spiral Staircase.
Baxter again.
Yeah. So yeah, interesting. Best Cinematography, Black and White, Anna and the King of Siam.
Oh, that's a good movie.
And The Green Years. Best Director, William Wyler for The Best Years of Our Lives. The Yearling, It's a Wonderful Life was up that year for Best Director. A Brief Encounter with David Lean, and The Killers, which is another great film. So that's was the competition, at least that year, with this film at the Academy Awards. So interesting grouping of films. And as I mentioned, I think 1946 was when The Big Sleep came out. So anything else you want to say about the film?
Well, I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it as much as I did. I'm not surprised. I thought you would have enjoyed it a bit more, but I'm not totally surprised. And like
It
I
was
said,
hard.
I think
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm seeing a pattern. I kind of go from one extreme to the other. I like fun, happy movies like Cary Grant movies where
Mm-hmm.
everybody's, back in the 50s and everybody's having this wonderful life, or I go back to this dark gothic time. It's interesting, to just to see the choices of our movies and how they play out with both of us.
Yeah, I again, it's been a rough week. It's finals week. Everybody wants a piece of you during finals week. Students and administration want to have meetings. I had to clean out my office after 26 years not because I'm getting canned, but because they're renovating the whole third floor, and everybody on the third floor had to clean stuff out. And I've been there in that same office
Mm.
for 26 years, squirreling away every extra handout that I ever made. And so all of that had to be cleared out. My son's wedding is coming up in 5 days, 6 days. And yeah, so it's been a nutty week for me, and it was hard for me to keep my focus on this. Even the show notes that I put together yesterday, and proudly thought to myself, oh, I'm going to send these to her early, even though I'm not quite sure about this film. And then this morning when we recorded, you reminded me you never got them.
Didn't have them.
So it's been a spacey time. I've got
It's all right.
two more finals to give and two more finals to grade before the wedding, and a bunch of cooking to do. So I'm apologizing ahead of time for people who like this film and can't understand why I didn't enjoy it as much as they did. And it's just focus. So again, I'll take a look at this another time. Yeah, I've got to have some distance between this experience and the next time I look at it, just to
I understand.
have a
I
little more fresh
understand.
eyes on it. And I say fresh eyes as a pun, just one eye.
Oh my gosh, here we go again. Yeah.
And my favorite line of the movie, I think she's a man, or whatever it was that he said.
Yeah. Mr. Oates said that.
That's my favorite line of the movie.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I, for me, my favorite scene, the one you didn't like, I like that scene of Mrs. Oates going into the cellar and stealing that bottle of brandy.
Oh, I did. I enjoyed that. I just
Okay.
I couldn't figure out where she kind of put it, because when she came up to the kitchen again, it's like, look what I got. And then,
Yeah, I
it
think
was
she
sort of
just
like,
hid it behind her dress.
yeah. And then she kind of put it up on a counter.
Mm,
And I thought, that's not very well hidden for anybody who's concerned about you nipping too much. But
right.
I just saw a note here. This film has been remade 3 times.
Oh, wow.
A 1961 television film starring Elizabeth Montgomery, Bewitched,
Bewitched, right?
um, and Lillian Gish. Lillian Gish was her younger ages, I think, was a silent film star.
Mm,
She has a relative, Annabella Gish, now, who is, I think, involved in films and such. But Lillian Gish, probably playing the bedridden Ethel Barrymore role, I would
mhm.
assume. That was in 1961. In 1975, a theatrical remake with Jacqueline Bisset. I cannot see Jacqueline Bisset in this role. Yeah. Was that before or after The Deep where she didn't wear a bra? You know,
Yeah.
I
Maybe
just,
she played
oh,
Blanche. I could
or
see her as
Killing the Great
Blanche.
Chefs of Europe. There's a Jacqueline Bisset reference you need to check out. Um, and then a 2000 television film with Nicolette Sheridan. Do you know Nicolette Sheridan?
I
She was a
do. Sort of,
bombshell
yeah.
blonde who was in
Hmm.
some evening soap opera weekly thing. I can't remember. And she was married to Harry Hamlin,
Oh,
if I
yeah, yeah,
remember
yeah.
that correctly. Yeah. And
Hmm.
to, and the final comment on this, none of these has matched the reputation of the original. So now I really want to see the remakes.
Oh, God.
All right. Anything else for this, or we can call it a
Well,
show?
yeah. And I only wrote down one quote after she stole that bottle of brandy from the cellar, and she said to Helen, "Anything can happen in the dark." And then she kind of smiled. That's the
Yeah.
only thing I wrote down, which is true. Anything can happen in the dark,
Yeah.
good or bad.
Yeah. I mean, and then again, very significant that she uses that as a tool trying to escape.
Hmm.
Helen trying to escape and get away from her pursuer.
Yes.
Early on in the film, when she's rushing to get home and the storm is out, there's a pan shot that goes through the forest, and there's a figure there. I don't know if you saw that. Go back and watch it.
I'll
When
go
she's
back and
rushing
watch it,
home to
Marty.
get to the mansion,
Oh, yes,
and they're
yes,
doing a
yes.
side pan, you see a tree and you see kind of a
I
figure
saw that.
right next to it. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I did see
lots
that.
of lots of cool little things like that.
Hmm.
And so yeah, give it a watch. Brian did. He liked it. And so, you can base your own judgment on it. And I'll probably take a lot of heat for not liking this film as much as most people do. So what do we have
All right.
next episode?
We are going to 1955, The 7 Year Itch.
Yeah,
Marilyn Monroe.
it's time for a palate cleanser. And,
Hmm.
because it's my choice on this one.
Hmm.
Actually, before we recorded, we sat down and I went through some of the films that I have that would fit into the plan of this show, and there are some really good noir films that we should get to. But I thought that was kind of too. I don't want to stay there too long, but I think we should look at The Big Sleep. And I know
Okay.
you don't. You have Bogart is a not necessarily one of your favorite character
No.
actors. You did seem to enjoy him in We're No Angels. Uh, and then there are some big things we haven't touched yet, like Citizen Kane or Casablanca. And then there are some kind of really exceptional films that outside of Citizen Kane that Orson Welles was involved in, like The Third Man and A Touch of Evil. If you want to see creepy film noir with crime, A Touch of Evil, with Burt Lancaster, or not Burt Lancaster. Yeah, I think it is. It is. No, excuse me. It's Charlton Heston playing a
Oh.
Mexican detective. I just don't get that casting. But it's a great film noir. But we decided instead we were going to do Irma la Douce. We'll get to that sometime. That's
Mm.
kind of fun. I spared you a musical, but
Thank
I've
you.
got that marker I'm gonna cash in sometime. But I just have to
Hmm.
find one that you won't find completely repulsive. But we're gonna go with 7 Year Itch. Marilyn Monroe, Tom Ewell. My comment was, Tom Ewell probably had a good career, but I am surprised he didn't have a better career. 1909 to 1994, he was in Adam's Rib, The Girl Can't Help It. He was in one episode of Murder, She Wrote. He was in Easy Money with Rodney Dangerfield. Interesting. He was on Taxi. He was in 45 episodes of Beretta. So, some of these films, particularly The 7-Year Itch, is a standout film for him. And him with Marilyn Monroe and the infamous stand over the subway skirt scene. And there's background story on that one. Not pretty background story. When you do some research on this film, not pretty.
Not pretty. Okay.
Yeah. We all look at it and go, oh, that's so... There's something that happened after that scene that is not a pretty part of the story for Marilyn Monroe, and it really kind of adds to the tragedy of Marilyn Monroe. So take a look at that. A lot of fantasy in this film. It's sort of Tom Ewell goes off and does sort of a Walter Mitty fantasy in his head multiple times through the film, and that makes it kind of fun. But it is The 7-Year Itch from 1955, and it was directed by Billy Wilder. We're back to Billy Wilder again. Co-written by Billy Wilder and George Axelrod, a common co-writer with Billy Wilder. Billy Wilder, I don't know if there's a film he didn't direct. There probably was, that he didn't write to. He was very specific about dialogue, as we mentioned in the previous Wilder films that we've looked at. So we'll catch that in our next episode, and hope you join us with this. It's fun having listeners and viewers who are part of the show with us. So that's The Spiral Staircase. 84 minutes of controlled dread built on darkness, silence, and the knowledge that the most dangerous men are those who have convinced themselves that they're doing good. In the case of Mr. Warren. Dorothy McGuire's performance, excellent, wonderful, without a single line of dialogue. That's amazing. Except for that final piece where she does something and her facial expression is incredible with that. Thanks for spending time with us. If you're enjoying Fade to Chat, the best single thing you can do is tell someone who loves classic movies to join us. Drop us an email, and you can also find out other programs that we do at the website, thepodtalk.net. Our email is thepodtalknetwork@gmail.com. Our website for this show, of course, is a YouTube channel that we have, youtube.com/@fade-to-chat. Subscribe, like us, send us a nice comment. That's what keeps us going, and we appreciate our ever-growing audience with this little trip into classic cinema from the 30s, 40s, 50s, and sometimes the 60s. Fade to Chat is part of the Pod Talk Network. If you love classic cinema and good conversations, spread the word. And thanks for